Gregor Fedora, and this is the Fedora Files. I've decided each month to dedicate one episode to some of those amazing stories of lore. There are so many around the world that people have either forgotten or just never even heard about. One of those is near and dear to my heart. That is the story of the Snallygaster. I love the story because it is the oldest monster legend in America. It totally predates the Jersey Devil. Sorry, Jersey, you are scary, but Maryland's monster has been around longer. So sit back, relax, and let me tell you all about the Snallygaster. You see, for centuries, a large winged beast known as the Snallygaster is said to have terrified the good people of Frederick County, Maryland. This dragon-like beast is described as being a half-reptile, half-bird, and lives deep in the caves of South Mountain, just outside of Middletown, Maryland. The bizarre flying beast is said to swoop silently from the sky, stealing farm animals and annoying children from the unsuspecting farm folk. Okay, I can see that perhaps it has stolen some not-so-annoying children. Tomato, tomato. Now let's get into some history to set the stage, as it were. You see, Frederick County was settled by a large group of German immigrants beginning in the 1730s. They had some superstitions they brought from the old country, one of which was a belief in something called a Schnallgeist, which means quick spirit in German. And since I am not German and have never really spoken German, I probably just totally butchered that. This creature of darkness was known to attack and steal cattle and kids. The earliest folklore describes this creature as being a half-bird mixed with some nightmarish elements of demons and ghouls, which I have to say is not a pleasant mixture. The Schnallgeist eventually became known as the Snallygaster, which is far easier to say, as more people claim to have encountered the monster and started getting more descriptions. Some describe the beast as a half-reptile, half-bird with metallic-like beak lined with razor-sharp teeth. Sometimes it was described as having octopus-like tentacles. The earliest stories claim that this monster sucked the blood of its victims. Perhaps it was low on iron, and this was one way to fix that. One unique aspect of this monster of lore is that the Snallygaster has a widely known nemesis. Originally called the Hex Wolf, it was later given the name Duello. The Duello is reported to be a biped, meaning two-legged for those of you in the back not paying attention, with features similar to a wolf, but the stance and stature of a human. Basically a wolf man or a werewolf, or as Michigan would call it, a dog man, because, well, that's just what Michigan does. The Duello and the Snallygaster have reportedly had vicious encounters dating back to the early settlement of the Middletown Valley. They are the original Kong versus Godzilla, only not over in Tokyo. These guys were having battles in cornfields just 40 minutes from Washington, D.C. For years, the Snallygaster lived only in the whispered tales of tradition, spoken hesitantly around campfires. That was until 1909, when stories of the beast began to appear in newspapers. Encounters between local residents and the winged creature started up in February and March of 1909, and they described it as having enormous wings, a long pointed bill, claw-like steel hooks, and one eye in the center of its forehead. Further, it was said to make screeches like a locomotive whistle, kind of like the noise you get when you're boiling a kettle of water on the stove, for those of you who still do that and don't do it in the microwave. A February 1909 article claimed that a man had been seized by the winged creature, which proceeded to sink its teeth into its jugular and drain the body of blood before dropping it alongside a hill. The story was carried prominently in Middletown, Maryland's Valley Register, and soon spread far and wide. So much so that the Smithsonian Institute offered a reward for the Snallygaster's hide. And U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt reportedly considered postponing an international trip to personally hunt the beast. There's even documentation of all of this. If you head over to the American Snallygaster Museum website, you can read more about it. The way it was reported, it seemed that the flying beast could be everywhere at once. And it seemed old Snally like to jump state lines. First, I guess New Jersey was feeling a little bit left out since the Jersey Devil wasn't getting much clout. And someone in the Garden State reported that Snallygaster footprints were discovered in the snow in February of 1909. A few weeks later in West Virginia, it was said that the flying beast almost caught a woman near Scrabble, was found roosting in a farmer's barn, and laid an egg the size of a barrel near Sharpsburg. What happened to the egg is a mystery. Perhaps the farmer had a snally omelet. Then, a man in Casetown, Ohio, wrote a letter to the Valley Register telling of a strange creature that flew over his area making terrible screeching noises. He described it as having 2 huge wings, a large horny head, and a tail 20 feet long. Now, back in Maryland, it was then sighted by a man who operated a brick burning kiln near Cumberland. He claimed to see it by the kiln sleeping. When it awoke, it emitted a blood-curdling shriek and furiously flew away. I guess old Snally doesn't like getting woken up from naps, and I don't blame it. The Snallygaster was also sighted near Hagerstown, then south of Middletown at Lover's Leap, and also seen flying over the mountains between Gapland and Burkittsville, where it was reported to have laid another very large egg. The last sighting in Frederick County occurred in 1909, where 3 men claimed to have fought the creature outside a railroad station for nearly an hour and a half before chasing it into the woods of Carroll County. After that incident, it seemed the Snallygaster was done, and there were no more sightings of the mysterious creature for the next 23 years. But old Snally wasn't done yet. In 1932, the Snallygaster made a return and once again appeared in Frederick County, Maryland. The first report said the lizardly bird-like monster was seen just below South Mountain in Washington County. It was surmised at the time the life expectancy of a Snallygaster was 20 years. How they came to this conclusion, I am not sure. Probably the same way that we know that Bigfoot has an aversion to personal hygiene. The new sightings were assumed to be from the offspring of the 1909 creature. The Middletown Valley Register hopped on the story of the reemergence of Maryland's dragon and requested that local residents who spotted the creature should provide as accurate and detailed a description as possible for scientific purposes. Well, 2 residents soon reported having seen it just east of Braddock Heights, flying about 25 feet overhead, confirming the descriptions published previously. Kudos for them. The next thing heard of the Snallygaster is that it had died in Washington County when it was overcome by the fumes of a moonshine still and fell from the sky and into the 2,500-gallon vat of alcohol. And hey, if you're going to go, and a vat of moonshine is the way to do it. According to the story, revenue agents soon arrived and destroyed both the vat and the carcass of the beast, in yet another case of government overkill. Since then, there have been no more reported appearances of the creature. So that, my good friends, is the tale of the Snallygaster. Was it real? Was it all imagination? Was it a hallucination from too much moonshine? Or could it simply have been a story to keep revenue agents from going into the woods around South Mountain to destroy the moonshiner's stills? Whatever the case, it is just one of the fascinating folklores of America that we can't let disappear into darkness. Until next time, stay safe and keep searching.
Check out FedoraCRT.com today.